Hello, team. I love your leader. Rachel's amazing. I just absolutely adore her. I got to meet her on a panel we did together, and ever since, I'm like, I just love her. She's just a beauty from the inside out. You can just tell. So she asked me to come on and do a call with your team, and we just couldn't quite get our schedules together to make it happen in the evening time. And I wanted to just share my heart with you guys today on what's kind of happening in my business and why I think that, and why I think the mind shift change really changed a lot for me and my business. So a lot of you may have heard my story. My name is Alita Allen. I'm an Emerald Ambassador, and you may have heard my story at convention. I was widowed, and I'm a single mom with 4 little kids, 2, 4, 6, and 8. And life is crazy for me. Life is crazy busy. It's hard. Right now is their nap time. So I'm able to, my little one's nap time. You may hear my big kids banging around. They're playing Lego. I'm like, I don't think Lego requires banging around. Anyway, so that's how I typically work my business. I do have help, hallelujah, on certain days of the week. But okay, besides that, I wanted to just talk about my mind shift change. So after my husband passed away, I really had to dig deep and decide I was going to go for Emerald. I was going to push hard. I was going to, just write affirmations everywhere. And I put a lot of scripture up for me and what I felt like would really help me propel forward and heal my heart, and begin to heal that. And so that I really feel like helped change my business at that point. And then I was at Jewel training, and they did some goal setting. There was a goal setting class, and y'all, people were, there were certain parts of this that we all know. It's like breakthrough. Like, did you ever think you'd grow this much with Plexus? And no, like you're thinking, I never knew that I would change and grow so much as a person. Like I never expect this from doing something like Plexus. And so there was just some breakthrough moments for people. It was amazing, and it was an awesome, awesome time. And for me, my breakthrough came in through goal setting. And I was cracking up afterwards. I'm like, everyone else, has breakthroughs at the appropriate times, and mine's in goal setting. Like, what? So I realized part of the goal setting was you were setting your goal for what your next achievement was, what you were wanting. But one of the parts that really got me was, what are your obstacles? Why aren't you there yet? That really helped me to realize I really wasn't digging deep and finding out why I wasn't progressing. Why was I just kind of staying where I was, maybe growing a little bit, but not a lot? And I realized that for me personally, I had a fear in place that was really stopping me. And my fear was a fear of goal setting without my husband. It was without, Emerald was our goal together, and I hit it and I did it. And it was almost like a contentment there. And I realized that it was actually a fear. And I think that sometimes contentment with where you're at is kind of a mask for a fear. So you start to tell yourself, oh, I'm totally okay with where I'm at. Now, you may be totally okay with where you're at. I'm not saying that that does not happen. I am sure grateful for where I'm at, and I know you guys are too. But I knew that there was something deeper stopping me from really progressing and setting goals and going for them. And so I'd ask that question, if you feel like you're stuck, or you feel like, man, I just, why isn't this going the way I need it to go? Or why isn't it growing? Or why are people falling off? Or why? If you're feeling that way a lot, I'm going to ask you to dig deep and find out why you're not progressing forward. Take everybody out of the picture. Take your downline out, take your upline out, and just look at yourself and say, what is it? Is it a time management issue? Is it a negative mindset issue? Is it maybe you don't have your spousal support? Different things, and look at what the obstacles are and count and factor those into your goal setting. Don't just assume because you say, oh, I'm going to be diamond one day, that it's just going to happen. You really need to set some goals and push forward for those goals and have your team on board. And I want to share this little part. This just kind of popped into my head, so I'll share it. One thing I did with my children was I told them that we did this as a family. We are a team. You're a part of my business. I love when people call their family their shareholders. And I said, what are we going to do when mama hits Emerald? And so they had picked a trip out, and it's what are we going to do when Mama hits Sapphire? And I would have a date in place, and we would just be excited and encouraging and doing it together. So I would just say, when I was on the phone or I was really busy or I was trying to get stuff done, they would come in and try to interrupt. I'm sure none of your children interrupt. And I would say, Dollywood. And they knew, because that was the trip that they were picking for Emerald. When I was pushing for Emerald, they knew, okay, Mama's working for us to go to Dollywood. And that was their prize, because you know what? We know as moms that this is also for our children, and they're just as much part of this. And just like we make sacrifices, so do they. And so they were willing to sacrifice interrupting me all the time so that I could really work and get there. So those are just some ideas to think about. But so I come home, and I really had that mind shift change, and I just decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go for this. And I'm going to really push hard, and I'm really going to start work. I'm going to really up my game here. I didn't change the amount of time I was spending. I spent a decent amount of time doing my plexus because I love it. So, but what I did change that I noticed that I didn't do on purpose, that just kind of happened with my mindset change when I realized there was a fear there. I shared it different. I shared plexus different. There wasn't any kind of like, oh, maybe I'll get to that today, or oh, maybe I'll talk to that person tomorrow. It was, I'm talking to them right now. And you know what, level 1, I love you. You've been doing these products for a year. Right now, we're having the best silver incentive for you to go silver that I've ever seen. You need to go silver. Like, we need to just make this happen, because I know this business will bless you and change your life. I had a lot of those conversations when I got home. I had a lot of level 1s going silver. I want you to think about the fact that in your organization, on your level 1s, I want you to go through and really look at how many level 1s you have, wholesale ambassadors, that are silver or above. You need to be sitting in the 20% range. That's such a great thermometer to see where you're at with your business. Then you need to start really duplicating down and getting people to go silver. And we all know that. But it's not sometimes just, hey, you need to go silver one time and telling them one time and never speaking to them again. A lot of times it's a couple of times. I think, if Jennifer had just told me one time, hey, you should go silver, I would have talked myself out of it. I would have talked her out of it. But she was constantly reminding me. One of my primary leg, I shared silver with her for 6 months, every single month, and she finally went silver. So my point is to keep sharing silver. Don't stop. Don't just think of it as like a one-time approach, even with your ambassadors who are already taking the products. You don't have to be annoying about it, but you do need to reach out and say, hey, I would love to help you go silver. So I didn't change the amount of time I was spending. And that may be something that you need to do, is to really look at your time and say, am I putting enough time into this? When you're an Emerald ambassador, if your goal is Emerald, you are making CEO money. I am making more money than I've ever made in my whole entire life. So I expect to put some time into this, and I expect to invest in my business, and I expect and I want to pour into my team. So you might as well set yourself up for that now, so that when you're in Emerald, you're already grooving along with that kind of schedule. And so just really looking at your business and what you're spending your time on. But the other thing was, again, I just changed it to being a little bit more bold. I was messaging people a little more boldly. It was how I was doing it, not so much how much time I was doing it or any tricks that I was doing different all of a sudden. And I think the only reason that I've been hitting Leaders Board is because my team has seen a change in how I'm sharing, and they're bolder, and they're sharing, and they're just on fire. I mean, my team is incredible and sharing. But really, mindset is where I really feel like that changed everything for me. Was just really, was I digging my heels in, and was I pushing deep? Was I willing to make sacrifices and make changes to really do this? Because the opportunity is so worth it. I mean, it is so worth it to do it. I can tell you that. And so I think just knowing that really helped catapult me forward into, just massive momentum right now. And I'm so grateful for it. I mean, that's another thing that we did is we did a grateful challenge on our team page. That really helped cultivate a culture of just being grateful for what we have, being grateful for where you're at now and saying, I love where I'm at now, but I want more. And that's okay. And then pushing forward for that more and not so much worrying about, well, here I am and this is happening to my business or this is happening to my team. We all have that. So my next thought and tip is, and I'm sure these are all things you've heard before. I have heard, everything I'm sharing with you, I'm like, oh, I've heard this before, but I'm just hoping that this can speak to someone today. I also really started to look for influencers on purpose. I was looking for people who were pouring value into other people, and I'm like, I want them on my team and I'm going to get them. So I started, plexus dating them, so to speak. I would do things like just pop a sample in the mail. I maybe wouldn't even reach out to them. I would just send a sample in the mail and be like, you know what? I care about what you think, with a little note. I care about what you think. Here's a sample. I want you to give it a try. And just really encourage them to do that. And I also just really started tapping into networks where I knew were just not, there was no plexus in them. Canada, Australia, things like that. I was really starting to look in those areas to see who I could talk to and see if they would be interested. And so I'm Canadian, so for me that was, I already have contacts there, so that was good. But I really feel like having that mind shift change really it just really and honestly changed everything for me. So I would wonder and want to ask you guys to sit down and just write out, what is it that you want? And whether it's plexus or not, just anything. What is it? What are your dreams? What are your main goals? What is your why? Write those down. And then in the next little box, write down what are obstacles I can expect to happen. Kind of foreseeing what is going to happen. Are you going to have a hard time balancing your schedule? And then taking a real look at that. Don't just wing it. And I'm a winger. I wing it. But really looking at it and saying, okay, I cannot do all of this by myself. So I need to bring in some help, or I need to trade out childcare, or I need to, just make different sacrifices and really deciding what is it that I can adjust or change to make sure that those obstacles do not become an excuse. And I talk about excuses a lot because I don't have any. And I have probably, if you're going to have an excuse, I feel like, the death of your husband and your mom are pretty good ones. And I never let that stop me, because to me, I'm like, why would I? I would be in such a different position. And it's changed me to persevere through those kind of losses and to persevere and keep moving and knowing and watching it unfold and watching it happen is really the coolest thing in the whole world. It is a faith builder for me, to be quite honest. It's been a really cool experience to see that, you can persevere through anything. The human mind is incredible. It is amazing. So if you feel like overwhelmed, if you feel stressed out, if you feel like I just cannot figure out how to make this work, then this video is for you. This video is for you to say, okay, enough is enough. I know the problem. I need a solution now. And really get tough on yourself and say, okay, so I can whine and complain about this, or I can fix this. There's always a solution. I promise. There's always a solution. You can talk to a friend about switching childcare. You can talk to an in-law about getting some help. You can hire the teenage girl down the road for a little bit, like an hour a day, whatever it is that you need. You can meal plan. You can cut out TV. You can, make sure you're working before your husband gets home in case, if he's unsupportive, or your spouse, whatever. Really look at those obstacles and then decide, make a mental choice, a decision. I'm going to do this no matter what my excuses are. I'm going to overcome these excuses. Y'all, I am a widowed, orphaned lady in the last year of my life. In 8 months' time, that all happened. And I have no one to help me watch my children. All my family lives in Canada. I'm here. And I don't have anybody. Now, I will say the Lord provided people like crazy, and I've not had to do without. I had to really look though and say, okay, this is hard. This is really hard as a single mom doing this. And my heart goes out for you single moms doing this. It really does, because it's hard. That is no joke. That is hard. And, but I'm going to challenge you guys to take whatever that is. And I always don't, I used to not like saying, no excuses, but it's true. You have to look at that and say, this is an excuse. And what can I do to overcome this? What can I do to change this? What can I do to make this better? What can I do so that I can persevere this and push through and get to the other side? Because I'm telling you right now, there's no better feeling in the whole wide world than overcoming something like that and looking back and being like, I did it. I did this. I mean, I could just cry my little eyes out. When I hit Leaders Board, it wasn't even about Leaders Board. For me, it was the fact that it was proof to me that I can do this. Even as a single mom with 4 little kids, even though I've been widowed, and even though I don't have him here to celebrate with, or I can't call my mom and celebrate with her, that I have great, amazing friends. My Plexus community has just embraced me in such an amazing way. And it's proof to me that anybody can do this, anybody in any circumstance. And my heart is just so overjoyed and grateful at the fact of what Plexus provides, that I just want to grab you by your shoulders and say, you can do this. You can do this. You have to believe in yourself. You have to get over your excuses, and you need to make a plan. You need to push through, and you need to persevere through whatever is stopping you from doing this, because you can do this. Anybody can do this. I see so many different types of personalities doing this business. You need to figure out, if you're not a super outgoing person, post more on social media. Get on Instagram. If you don't know how to work Instagram, go on YouTube and watch a video on how to use Instagram. You don't know how to use Facebook, go on there and you're not on Facebook, go to your neighbor's house and do it the old-fashioned way. There's no excuse in the whole wide world, none, that you can't do this. I did not have this kind of following. I did not have this kind of story when I first started. My husband had passed away, and I was already a senior Ruby. I know that any personality type can do this. And so I don't want you thinking that every jewel you see or every person you see who's a successful ambassador in Plexus as somebody who just started out with a huge following. It's not true. I love that Brooke Hemingway shared that she only had 200 Facebook friends. You guys, she was the top convention earner. And so I get emotional, sorry. You guys can do this no matter where you're at, no matter if you're a silver who's been silver for 2 years, no matter if you're a gold ambassador who's fallen backwards, no matter you're a ruby ambassador who's fallen backwards, or maybe you're pushing for ruby and you've been stuck at 300 points for the last 2 years. It does not matter. Today you start over. Today you start your business like it's day one, and you change the way you share. You share from your heart. You share with genuine passion, because you know this changes lives. You can look at the single mom next door and say, you know what? You have to do this business with me. I know a girl named Alita and blah, blah, blah. Here's her story. You have to do this. This has changed everything for her. I know so-and-so, the lady down the road who has MS. You have to try these products. They're going to change your life. I've seen so many testimonies on this. Share with a passion that people cannot resist. These products work. If you don't believe, go on any Plexus testimony site and read them all. You believe in this company. If you don't have belief, look at me. I did not have any life insurance. I take care of my kids completely with Plexus. And, look at your amazing uplines. Belief in yourself, belief in the company, and belief in the products. If you have all of those and you go out with a heart to share, who's going to refuse that? We all hear no's. We all have really hard days where the questions are coming in and the so-and-so doesn't like it. But I want to tell you and I want to remind you from my heart to your heart that you can do this and you are worth it. And I do believe that Plexus is the answer. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. Do not miss this boat. I love you guys so much. Thank you for having me on, Rachel. I adore you. I hope that was helpful. I'm kind of a rabbit trail girl. Love you all so much.